I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Harley, we took last week off, and we went to Atlanta to see Noelle, my daughter. We're back this week, and we have so many topics to choose from. The Colorado shooting, the San Bernardino shooting, which is happening now, or the Chicago injustice. And because our main topic is on justice, we're going to talk about Chicago. However, our hearts and our thoughts and concerns and our prayers are with those people that were injured or killed in Colorado Springs and in San Bernardino. So let's go. It is so hard to smile sometimes. The times that we're living in, when I see what's happening in Colorado Springs, in San Bernardino, and in Chicago, my heart breaks. I just want to weep. But I also know that in order to move forward, you got to stand up. As my mom said, put your big boy pants on and get out there and do the best that you can. So today I'm doing the best that I can. And I want to talk about Saint Sabina. I want to talk about Father Phleger. Now, interestingly enough, we have direct ties to Father Phleger. One of my dearest friend's son works at St. Sabina. When we lived in Chicago, I lived next door to a family, the Williams family, and they went to St. Sabina. And today, Corey Williams, who is my son's, one of his very, very best friends, works at St. Sabina. Corey spent many nights at my house. He was almost my second son in Chicago, and I'm so very, very proud of him. He works at St. Sabina. He has a wife and I think 3 children. He writes to my son, and he's out there in the trenches at St. Sabina. St. Sabina and Father Phleger on the south side of Chicago, they are warriors for justice. Warriors for justice. They're out there in the neighborhoods providing services, providing support, walking the streets to support those that are in need in the south side of Chicago. And I am grateful that Father Phleger is there, and especially after what we saw this past week with that video with that young child getting murdered in the streets. How dare the police in Chicago just murdered this young man and then cover it up. I'm so angry. I'm one of those staunch Democrats, but you know what? I am not tied to any Democrat. Not tied to any Democrat. Ron Emanuel, the county attorney, all of these beautiful Democrats, they need to go. 1 down and 2 to go. There's no way that that young man should have been, his life discarded like a piece of paper. Like, we'll just cover him up. There is no way. And Father Phleger asked us to call the U.S. Attorney's Office and ask and demand justice. Well, I'm asking you to do that for Father Phleger, because I'm going to do that for Father Phleger and for justice. Not only for that young man in Chicago that was murdered in the streets, but this is justice for my son, too.
Roy's words. First, my heart goes out to all the young black males who have been killed by the Chicago police. I believe that Rahm Emanuel and the state's attorney need to go. However, I know my mom talked about these horrible stories. I want to speak about a city that I love, with all its warts and scars. I have heard much about Spike Lee's movie Chirac from television and my sister who went to the movie. Chirac is a great name to describe the paradox that is the city of Chicago, especially its African-American citizens. Chicago has a long and storied history as a city that I spent the better part of my early childhood living on the south side at 12021 South Laughlin. My next-door neighbor, Corey Williams, became one of my best friends as well as my classmate, David Kimber. I spent a lot of time at David's house after school waiting for my mom to pick me up on her way home from work. Even back then for me, living in Chicago seemed like a contrast of two lifestyles. I attended St. Catherine of Genoa, a private Catholic school where we all dressed in uniforms and wore white shirts and ties every day. We were all pretty good kids with families that worked to take care of us. St. Catherine's was a place we felt safe. We all felt and understood a present and inherent danger walking through our neighborhoods. David and I were in an after-school bowling league. One day, he left the bowling alley earlier than me and walked home alone. I came later with the others. When I reached his house, he told me that some man had pulled a gun on him. Keep in mind, we were only about 10 years old at the time. Chicago was a dangerous place when I was a child, and from what I hear from the media and my friend Corey, it is much more dangerous now. My sister told me about the movie Chirac. Corey actually works with Father Phleger at St. Sabina as an office manager and lives in the St. Sabina neighborhood. He has written to me about the violence and how terrified he is for his children and his family. He would like to move his children to a better neighborhood, but no one will purchase his home. The dark side of the city, the violence, neglected neighborhoods, men standing on corners without jobs, and the plain ugliness that existed in the city has only intensified and multiplied. Even in the midst of all the drama of the city, I very much loved Chicago, the museums, the zoo, Uno's Pizza, my Big Mama and Archie. I have great memories of Chicago. My heart goes out to all my friends and family and the other Chicagoans.